Football game tonight, boy. It's gonna be a great night tonight.
How can he not be romantic about football?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
This is the Mazz and Bads Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.
Somebody mark down this date. It's a historic event. March 10th, 2025. The gang's all here for the first time in what feels like forever.
Woo!
How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing fantastic.
Guys.
A perfect day to have all three of us here because day one of NFL free agency, always a crazy day of headlines, and we're just gonna digest them, let them sit in the stomach for a little bit, and then you know what happens next.
That's okay, fair enough. Listen, fellas, it's been a beautiful day here in New Jersey, and what more fitting than one of my favorite days of just, guys swapping teams. You get to see the new possibilities, and there's the excitement in the air of what could be. But I'll tell you where it normally rains, it's going to continue to rain, both figuratively and literally. The city of Seattle, I have no clue what's going on, but there's definitely a rain shower that's going on with a little bit of sunshine. Notice Sam Darnold, which is now there with a 3-year deal, $105 million contract. I like picking him up as a quarterback, as we know that Geno Smith has left town. The only problem is they've released Tyler Lockett, they've traded DK Metcalf, and who the hell is he going to be throwing to? Jackson Smith and Jigba? There's nothing else to work with. You got 2 running backs, but what else are they working with? Charlie, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah, I don't think anyone really has a clue what the Seattle Seahawks are up to right now. I mean, just a head scratching turn of events with this team. They won 10 games last year. They didn't get into the playoffs due to some tiebreaker bad luck, but they were right there at the pedestal. You know what I mean? Ball bounces one way, you pick up one more win, you're right there in the wild card. Who knows? But you go from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold, where, listen, I got a lot of love for both these guys. Both former quarterbacks for my favorite team. So I'm going to give it to you straight. I think right now Geno Smith is the better football player than Sam Darnold. Now maybe he's a little bit older, which I guess maybe factors into your long-term plans if you're the Seattle Seahawks GM, John Schneider, but just, I don't know, running it back with Geno for another year or two, or giving Sam Darnold 3 years and what is it, 120 million? You said, right?
105.
105. Even, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then not only that so Sam Darnold had the career year this past year in Minnesota, right? Because of what? Because of course Kevin O'Connell is one of the best offensive coaches in football, and he had weapons galore. He had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. You go to Seattle, they're cutting bait with all their best offensive weapons. DK Metcalf, shipped out. Tyler Lockett, cut. You got 3 receivers under contract right now, given JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, great receiver. I'm a big fan of his game. But behind him, you got Jake Bobo. I mean, I don't understand the game plan here for the Seahawks. Maybe they have something up their sleeves that we don't know about yet. Like we said, it's day one of free agency. There could be a plethora of things they can do. They could go out and get a Cooper Kupp or something like that. But right now, it just feels like I don't really know. It seems like they're just like doing a change up, a mix up, a shuffling just to do it. It doesn't really feel like there's a plan behind it.
I think the plan is trade DK, get your assets, trade Geno, get your assets. You still have JSN, who I think you guys are underselling a little bit. JSN was a top 10 receiver in yards last year. He was fantastic. He had a couple
I'm not trying to undersell him.
He had a couple. No, Mazz was kind of underselling him a little bit. You're saying, who do you got? JSN, that's it? I'm like, nah, he's a bona fide one, in my opinion.
Time out. I'm not saying that in terms of that's literally all that he's working with, though. I mean, I understand bringing in a new quarterback, especially he had a better year than Geno Smith did. He's a little younger, right? So it's I'm not and trust me, the analytics guys, they love Geno Smith, but Sam Darnold had a really good season. I'm saying, what is the point of cutting ties with Geno Smith to bring in a new quarterback if you're just cutting everything and he's only gonna have one wide receiver to be throwing to? I mean, you cut your vet, who's Mr. Safety Blanket. Granted, yards after catch are never there because he likes just dropping down. DK's a deep threat over the top. That opens up JSN even more. But now, those are gone. It's just him and JSN. What are they doing?
This is the thing that the Seahawks need to do. DK asked for the trade. He wanted to be gone. So you got this feeling that Seattle and him, there was not really mending those fences there. He had to be shipped off somewhere. Pittsburgh was in the market for a receiver, so they were willing to ship off some picks. You ship off Geno because you know he's not the future of this franchise. You bring in Darnold. You have JSN as the number one. Potentially drafting a receiver this year in the first round could be what Seattle looks to. Have a nice dynamic young wide receiver core to bring them into the future. Have Darnold for 3 years to maximize whatever little window you can get. Because right now, the NFC West, San Francisco, there's a lot of questions surrounding that roster going into this season. You look at LA, I mean, they're retooling and getting ready for another year. I mean, they just made the big trade for Devontae. Or not trade, but they signed Devontae. So the NFC West is starting to shake up in a weird way where Seattle could be a dark horse and potentially, vying for a playoff spot. And who knows, whenever you get into the playoffs, things can happen. I think Seattle's trying to buy, a couple extra wins here, try to get some extra picks, move for the future, while also having, maybe Darnold's a stopgap in the middle there.
So, Charlie, I just got to ask you, you did just mention before that you preferred Geno to Darnold. Why is that?
I think Geno's the more polished, experienced quarterback right now. I think he's obviously played more football games, made more mistakes than Sam probably, but I think if you're trying to win right now, you saw that this past year that and like I said, Vikings and Darnold had a great year. I don't think that was all because of Sam Darnold. I think he was put in a great position to succeed. I think Geno Smith can win you football games. Sam Darnold, he can lose you football games, as we saw, of course, the last game of the year against the Lions, and of course in the wild card against the Rams. So, and I hate to rag on Sam like this because he still has plenty of room to grow. But maybe the Seahawks, can tap into even more untapped potential here in these next 3 years. But for me, the move it just seems like a swap just for the sake of making a swap.
I do feel that when it comes to Darnold, 14th in QBR, right, for last season. Geno Smith, I believe, was 21st. They were roughly both of them over 4K yards, but 35 touchdowns with 12 interceptions to, I believe, I'm sorry, was it 15 interceptions? Yeah, to 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Like, he did outperform Geno Smith. Yes, he does have the better number one and obviously like the better wide receiver room, but it's not like Seattle was working with slouches. I just think that the first year back in the seat, granted it was a hell of a seat to be in, I think he definitely proved that there's a lot to work with, and I just like him being younger. So, I understand why Seattle makes the move of swapping the quarterback. I just don't understand why you deplete everything is what it feels like for me.
I'm just not confident in Darnold's ability away from the KOC system. I think that's part of the problem I see with the Seattle construction. I think it's a good move for a stopgap guy, maybe to get a few wins here or there. This is like a low risk, high reward. I mean, it's a 3-year contract. So realistically, if Sam doesn't, ball out this year, you could relatively buy him out probably in the offseason. It'll be a pretty hefty price tag, but it's not like you're signing him to a 7-year contract, Trevor Lawrence style. Like, you have him for 3 years. This is a very small window. And if you have a guy, say like you don't have a good year this year, next year's quarterback class is going to be great. So then you can buy out Sam Darnold and probably draft a quarterback. So that's what Seattle's probably thinking in this scenario. It's a low risk, high reward plan.
I mean, they could still maybe even draft one this year. I mean, I know the top of the quarterback class isn't. It's pretty iffy who you ask of who's the best and who's not. But there's a wide range of day 2 and day 3 prospects. Jalen Milroe, Will Howard. You got the Syracuse quarterback McCord, the Louisville quarterback, so Quinn Ewers. So maybe Seattle spends one of those 2nd or 3rd round picks they got in these trades to have someone sit behind Darnold for a year or two and
if there's
marinate,
a team
as
that
they
can
say.
Develop a late round quarterback in the past. We've seen Seattle is a team that is a good spot to end up when you're trying to be a late round pick. Like, look at Russell Wilson, look at Matt Hasselbeck, 2 guys who weren't really highly regarded when they came out of college, and then they became all-pro quarterbacks.
Well, I gotta say though, even like Seattle, they do have options with it. It is like a team friendly. Like, he's only making like 33 and change a year. Like, it's not like they gave up an arm and a leg. I think this is for his performance. Like, I like the contract. I actually think maybe they got him for a bit of a steal. I mean, we've seen worse guys have bigger deals. I mean, I believe Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, both making more money than him on the per year basis. So it's like they have options. I am so or who they trade him for, who are they looking for in the draft? Like, I don't know. We do know that Seattle does find wide receivers, like, nobody else. However, can they do it again? I don't know, man. I'm still very puzzled. And speaking of being puzzled, where does that leave the Vikings now? Are we going to see JJ McCarthy? Uh, we know that there's a veteran quarterback out there who has the potential of repeating the Brett Favre career path if he keeps it up. What are they going to be looking to do up in Minnesota?
Yeah, so from all the reports I've been reading today and over the weekend, it's looking like they're still in on Daniel Jones, which is a guy who they picked up last year and was on the practice squad for a bit. Was learning that system. Definitely, you heard Aaron Rodgers for sure. That's one of the 3 teams he's been linked to. And then I guess you got JJ McCarthy in the mix there. I mean, I have to imagine that the Vikings aren't like rushing to get JJ McCarthy out there week 1 of next season. I have to imagine that they're still trying to ease him back from the meniscus tear from last year, and they don't want him just thrown to the wolves, thrown to the fire immediately. They would rather have a veteran once again, at least the first month. And I think if you're the Vikings, it's probably Daniel Jones. Aaron Rodgers, I think, still has enough good football left in him where he'd be able to take that starting job and run with it, especially with the guys that they have there and the coaching of Kevin O'Connell. But if I think depending on who they pick up for that veteran quarterback will tell you a lot about how they feel about JJ McCarthy or just whoever's left over.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet my entire house that JJ McCarthy's not going to be the week 1 starter. I know I'm hard on the kid, but I've been harder on Daniel Jones for his career, and he's actually proven to win some kind of games with way less talent. So there's definitely something to work with there. I just don't think I want it to be necessarily like my franchise quarterback to come. But if we're talking, just trying to figure out like the situation, they have enough talent to cover that. They don't need to rush their rookie into it, who honestly didn't look that impressive in college to begin with. It's not like he was a Heisman winner. It's not like his numbers were off the chart. Like it by all measurements, it looks like he's going to be of that Sam Darnold kind of game manager esque blanket, I guess you could say, like cut from that same cloth type thing, right? So it's like it's not like they have a superstar on their hands. I feel like where it's like we need to hit this kid while he's in the prime of his career. Like no, he's just starting out. It's still a giant question mark, like my diet on whether or not it's going to work out. So I don't know, fellas. I would like to see a veteran in there besides Jones, but I think if you have to go with Jones and McCarthy, I'm throwing Jones out there until I know that McCarthy's ready to roll.
Yeah, and you saw the Vikings just signed Aaron Jones to a 3-year contract, so they're trying to keep this offensive core together. They love Jettas. Addison's been phenomenal on the rookie contract. Now you got Jones, Hawkinson, all these different options in this offense. I think if you're going to have a rookie quarterback start, this is the team to have him start on. Great offensive play calling, quarterback whisperer, head coach, a great ensemble, offensive line that's building. Like, if there's a team to start off with as a rookie quarterback, it's the Minnesota Vikings. And I think if they're really that confident in J.J. McCarthy that he can come in and get it done here in year 1, then you ride with him. I think he sat behind a year. He's learned. I don't think you really need to rush out and go get an Aaron Rodgers just because you feel like you need to win now. Like, you got these guys locked up for a long time. Like, let JJ start this year and get comfortable in this system, because I think with the ensemble and everything he has around him, he has everything he needs to succeed.
I gotta push back on you there, though, right? Because if I have such this great ensemble, maybe I'm thinking like, how long am I gonna have control of these guys, right? So it's not like Aaron Rodgers, I think, is gonna break the bank. Like, if you genuinely feel like this is the team right here, right now, like, why can't I do both? Of bringing McCarthy along, having a backup to take the hits in case like my starter goes down. I think Aaron Rodgers legitimately could be that guy. Like, he still put up decent stats. It's just, I did feel like a lot of those numbers came towards the late of games, kind of garbage time. They were kind of out of it for like the most part. Charlie, you were there in person. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not like he's completely useless. It's just, you definitely need to protect him, and he definitely needs time more than the average quarterback these days. But let's not forget, this is still a 4-time MVP player. This is a guy who, if I think playing with Justin Jefferson by many accounts, top 2 wide receiver in the NFL, depending on how you feel about Jamar Chase. Addison having the season that he just did. Hawkinson, if he could just hit his baseline, Jones coming back with it. The band's here. I think you need to strike while the iron's hot. Why wouldn't you want to get a quarterback that takes you over that mountain?
And I wouldn't say that there isn't any, like, there's no pressure to win right now. I mean, not to nitpick with Kevin O'Connell and the job he's done over his first few years with the Vikings, because he's won 12 games and then they went, was it 14-3 last year, and then they had the little down year in between with the Kirk Cousins injury, but they were still producing with Nick Mullins at quarterback. There's that the Kevin O'Connell can't win playoff games. You know what I mean? They lost to the Giants in the wild card round that first year. They lost to this Rams team last year, who was, I mean, they were a higher seed, but the Vikings had a better regular season record than them, so they were favored going into that game. So I don't know. I think if you're the Vikings, you definitely do want to try and start winning as soon as possible. And then even better for JJ McCarthy, wouldn't you rather insert him into a winning team than a team that's like, oh, we need a savior right now. We need someone to save us right now. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I know he was taken in the first round, but like I haven't necessarily seen something where I just look, that's my guy, that's my franchise guy right here, right now.
Also, I feel like when you're drafted first round and you're a quarterback in the NFL in general, there's pressure on you to win games. So we shouldn't be afraid to put pressure on a kid in a win now situation, because that's what he's brought in here to do. He's brought in here to win games. So there shouldn't be this added pressure to feel like, oh, I need to win games. No, like that's your job. You're brought in here to win games. So we shouldn't be worried about putting extra pressure on him when that's the name of the game. That's the job.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just concerned that he hasn't even played a game, and he already got injured playing at this level. So it's like hasn't even seen like the action. Like how is that going to like transpire? Like I think I want to see him get fully healed before I can give my assessment. And if I'm gonna be right or wrong about the career, at least I want the kid 100% healthy and being able to give his best effort. And I'm sure for them, like if you want to know what it is, I don't want to rush it back and try to give any nagging injury history any reason to flare up again. Like I kind of want to I want to caress that and make sure that it's fully there before we just throw it. Take it easy, Charlie. Before we just do throw it at the Wolves, because it's all getting after it. I mean, let's be honest, the kid's gonna be having just absolute maulers on the other side coming after him, and he hasn't even played a snap yet of regular season NFL football. How's he going to be able to handle all that? I don't know. With the pressure and stuff, it's not like it is an ideal situation, but with the injury hit like that just happened and coming off of it, and especially the way that Sam Darnold just reignited his career being there, I think that puts even more pressure on it, because now it's like if he doesn't work out, but Sam Darnold just worked out, who's really the bust?
So it's like it's almost like a lose-lose in that scenario.
Sometimes you just have to realize and what you have and go from there. And speaking of realizing what you have, I think the Las Vegas Raiders are doing a fantastic job of understanding just where the hell they are right now in this rebuild process. It seems like they've teared everything down around them except for Max Crosby, and Max Crosby alone. Josh Jacobs no longer there. Derek Carr obviously now gone. They finally go and get a quarterback that can actually do something. Unfortunately, I don't know who the hell he's going to be throwing to. So, Geno Smith, I apologize in advance for the woes that you're going to be going through. But I actually think that I trust in the Raiders to start this rebuild finally the right way. Although I wish they never got rid of their head coach. But hey, Pete Carroll's gotten the job done, has the experience. I think it's going to be just fine. Charlie, how are you feeling about the Raiders right now? I don't mean that in a are they gonna win, go to the moon? No, like I think we just have to give props for, I think they know exactly what they have, and that is the base layer of a foundation starting to be formed.
Yeah, and I think they'll be heading in the right direction. I think Pete Carroll's one of those guys with the name value where you just know that he's going to be doing things the right way. I mean, he did it his entire tenure in Seattle, except for maybe he learned from Baby and Russell Wilson a little too long. But other than that, he ran an A-plus NFL franchise up in Seattle for his entire tenure there. And I think he's going to be able to bring that to the Raiders, especially with Tom Brady in the building, who's going to have a big say in things, especially in the quarterback. Obviously, the owner's giving him a lot of control there. But you guys want to hear my big Raiders take?
What is it? I want to hear it now. What is it?
Okay. So now that they have their quarterback, they have Geno, not long-term, but it's not a pressing need to go out and get 6th overall this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know who you can pencil in right now for the Raiders at 6th overall in the NFL draft?
Shadur?
Ashton Genty. Pencil him in now. A Pete Carroll-led NFL team They're going to want to run the football behind this offensive line. That's one of the strengths of their team. Ashton Jeanty will be a Las Vegas Raider come April 24th. Mark it down right now.
That just shattered my entire hopes and dreams for this draft because I need a halfback. I don't know what the hell Dallas is doing. I will get to that in a bit, but
Hey, you got Javonte Williams, dude.
yeah, that's who I want. I'd want Jeanty every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Okay, like it's just I think I would want Jeanty after he just played an NFL game than I'd want Javonte Williams. Okay, that's how much potential I think this kid has. I think he's going to be legitimately the next great one, and I don't even hate that because when did Pete Carroll have his most success? He had one of the most just craftiest and power backs. Like that's Jeanty. You know, can be shifty, can run through a guy. I know he's a little on the smaller side, but that is a ball of power, right? So it's like I don't even hate this right now, and it would be very Raiders-esque to kind of reach a little bit on a bigger name. Who's been a bigger name in college football this year outside of Travis Hunter? You know, so. Man, I hate how right you could end up being.
The most success Pete Carroll's ever had coaching-wise was when he had Reggie Bush over at USC. So that's the type of team you want to be seeing here if you're a Raiders fan, if you get Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, man. Jeanty, I really hope that kid lives up to it, man. I really think that this is going to be, like, the next great running back. I hope that, like, he doesn't... The one thing that I would like really hope that he's just like good, but we can't even see that he's good because he's not meeting the expectation, you know. But I don't know what it's gonna be. But,
so like Bijan's what you're telling me. You hope he's not Bijan.
Yeah, I guess kind of. I mean, Bijan has had his moments, right? But you know,
Bijan's been heralded as this like savior running back last few years, and I feel like we never get to see it in Atlanta.
I mean, I would still say he's a top 5 running back in football, though. I mean,
ooh, I don't know about that.
I mean, it's definitely debatable. And you know, speaking of you know, just running backs and bringing in new personnel, the only thing that I could see that not happening with Jeanty is that apparently there's a former Pittsburgh Steeler halfback and Najee Harris that's linked to the Raiders heavily right now. What are you guys thinking about that?
Doesn't really move the needle for me all that much, I'll be honest with you.
I think Najee is overhated. I'm a Ravens fan saying that. I think Najee's probably one of the more overhated players in the league. I just think his ability to stay on the field is his biggest weapon. His ability to stay healthy through 17 games, which running backs don't typically do. So I think he's going to go for a hot commodity just because of his durability. And he's good pass catcher. I don't know if he has great vision, but like, for the Raiders and where they're at right now, if you can't get Ashton Jeanty in the draft, you probably should sign Najee Harris before that because he'll probably go. I would definitely do that move on the Raiders.
So I got some breaking news for you guys. Apparently, the Chargers are imminently signing Najee Harris. So there you go. He's not going to the Raiders.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not even joking. Rap sheet 5 minutes ago. Yeah, 5 minutes ago. The Chargers are pursuing
so
Steelers
funny.
running back and Najee Harris. Hope to close the deal. He was on a 1-year contract, so he's probably a free agent.
He ain't
Wow,
right.
he was
Listen,
good,
here's
though.
the one thing. Say what you want about Najee Harris, right? Whether you're a fan, you're not a fan. The guy has rushed for 1,000 yards every year since he's been in the league, and it's all granted. Oh, the attempts, like yeah, they're up there. I mean, 307, 272, 255, and 263. But guess what?
Durability.
The guy's always there. He's still running hard. Like you put him in a decent offense, and I thought Pittsburgh. There was players that were playing above that offensive capabilities last year, and now Charlie, you love what is going on with the Chargers, right? In terms of like who they have at quarterback. You like their head coach. You like that they're starting that rebuild. Like, why not get a guy who you don't have to worry about? Is he going to be on that damn field? He might not be a superstar, but as long as he just hits his averages, that's helping them out. Especially you add in that passing game, it's just going to open him up more, right? Or he'll even open up that passing game more. I think it's a good match. It's also the Chargers with the other team that was linked to them. I personally just saw Raiders going more in on it, but I really like this move for the Chargers. It kind of moves the needle for me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
It fits the criteria of that team of the Jim Harbaugh ground and pound running up your throat. So yeah, no, definitely good. Like Najee, like he's great. He's serviceable. Like you said, not going to miss any games. He's not gonna rip off your 70 yarders like Saquon or Derrick Henry does. You know what I mean?
Mm. No,
But
wasn't his
Face it.
longest run last year like 25 yards?
Something
Might
like
have been.
that.
I mean, but like, what was really going on there in Pittsburgh? I mean, it was him, a veteran quarterback, and a decent wide receiver one who might be better suited as a wide receiver too. But that's a debate, right? So it's like I'm gonna give Najee credit, and the reason why like it's moving like the needle for me because I think it just sets them up better for their division to take over that second spot. You know, because nobody's taking over that one spot. I feel like.
Well, sticking with the Steelers though, what does the DK Metcalf addition do for them? I mean, obviously right now they don't have any quarterbacks under contract because Russell Wilson is a free agent, Justin Fields is a Jet. So they either have to go out and get somebody in free agency, trade for somebody, or draft somebody. But in terms of the receiver room, and we kind of talked about this last weekend with the like the greatest receiver tandems in football right now. Where does that George Pickens DK Metcalf tandem fall for you guys in terms of best in the league?
I
For
think
me,
it instantly.
top
Go
5.
ahead.
Top 5. I think so. Like now that Tampa Bay just brought back Godwin, that's still 1-2 in my opinion. If number 1 was Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, no question. Puka and Cooper Kupp was definitely 2, but now you got Devontae Adams.
Jason Higgins.
Actually, now the Rams might be number 1. If you talk about just a receiving core as a whole, when you have Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nakua all together on one team, that's ridiculous.
Apparently, Cooper Kupp's getting released if they can't find a trade partner. He's out of the building, which
man.
I don't know.
Think
If you're going to
about
bring
that,
in
though.
Devontae Adams, what is the point of getting rid of a Cooper Kupp? Which the only reason why I'm fine with it is because he's linked to the Cowboys. But other than that, like, you want to talk about riding off into the sunset one last time, like, that's it right there. That's how you do it. But back to the Steelers with it. I mean, and what about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase?
Yeah, that's gotta be number 3, I think. I
That's
don't know,
number
there's
1 for me.
A lot of good.
Addison
might be
and
4, maybe
Jefferson.
4.
Addison and Jefferson.
Oh, that's tough. They actually have games together, so yeah, I'll give them that. I'll give them it. Yep. And then maybe
like,
Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams.
For me, it automatically went to top 10, but is it going to be able to crack that top 5? That is completely predicated.
What about
on
Amon-Ra
two things.
and Jameson Williams?
That's got to be up there too.
You think they're better than DK and Pickens?
No.
No, I think Amon-Ra is the clear number 1 out of all of them.
Jameson was a 1,000-yard receiver.
Sure, but I like Pickens better, and I like DK better. Like DK just had 2,000-yard years, the 2 years prior, and then last year had 900 yards. You know, falling down to that wide receiver too. Like I'm going to trust in what I've seen from Pickens and Metcalf more than I'm gonna trust in Williams, who like he is good, but I just don't think he's necessarily them. Like,
Tyreek and
so
Jalen
I'll take.
Waddle.
I'll take the 2 and 3 instead of the 1 and 4 out of that pairing that you just gave me. Doesn't happen all the time, but I think in that situation, I do think that they will take the cake for me. It's going to be predicated on 2 things, though. Is the offense going to be innovative, and who the hell is going to be throwing the ball for them? And with Justin Fields no longer there, I think that they definitely need to be thinking about going a quarterback, maybe, second, third-ish round, like Jackson Dart, I know, has been climbing up a couple of people's draft boards. I think that would actually be like a great addition. Shout out my man Angie Lapuma, big Steelers fan, has been just screaming at the top of the lungs in our group chat, please go draft Jackson Dart. But where we do differ, I think Russ had a solid year, especially for the time missed and everything considered. Finally getting a second wide receiver takes the Steelers potentially into this next realm. They still have to fill the hole for Najee Harris and get that running game back on par, but I don't think it's going to be impossible to fill, right? Especially they play a hard-nosed style of football, just grinding it out. But now they can open things up. I think Pickens is going to enjoy DK burning people over the top because that's just going to make him more useful. It's kind of giving me like Travis Kelce vibes back when they had Tyreek Hill of just take it over the top and let everything else develop. I think when we see Pickens in a one-on-one situation, which is very rarely, he normally comes out on top of it.
Well, here's the weird thing with this. I feel like Pickens and DK are almost like similar receivers. Like they're both big, like physically imposing guys with speed.
Different builds, but same skill set. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, maybe DK's probably bigger, but like they're kind of like the same skill set. Like I wonder how they're going to utilize them. Maybe like one on one side, one on the other side, and then have them either streak, maybe run some underneaths. Like it's definitely opening up a lot more possibilities. And now that Justin Fields is gone, you don't have Russell Wilson. I want to see what Pittsburgh goes in the route of quarterback, heading up to really solidify this offense, because I think this could definitely be something to work with. Be a start for Mike Tomlin.
And that's your three teams right there who are playing Aaron Rodgers roulette are the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Minnesota Vikings, and the New York Giants, right? So all three of those teams vying for the services of A-Rod. I think if you're looking at it in terms of like who needs him like desperately the most, I think you got to go with Pittsburgh, because I think you've burned that bridge with Russell Wilson at this point by not bringing him back already. So I think the Russell Wilson to the Giants was probably going to pick up some more steam in the coming days. The Vikings, where they already have the first round pick, JJ McCarthy, waiting in the wings, where it makes more sense for a shorter term option in Daniel Jones, who people aren't going to be mad that you bench Daniel Jones. So some people are going to be upset you bench Aaron Rodgers. Daniel Jones, not so much. I think Aaron Rodgers is probably, if you had a gun to my head and I had to pick which team he's going to right now, it's probably Pittsburgh.
I feel like New York for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Just because he doesn't have to move. And the Giants really, it's another one of those.
He's an old man. He doesn't want to move.
If you're a Giants fan, if he stinks, we could just throw him away and pick up someone new. If he's great, perfect, we can win games right now with him. I think the Giants makes the most sense.
I think money talks and bullshit walks, so I think it's going to be coming down to who's willing to pay the most, and I see the Giants being willing to do that out of the three of these franchises, right?
I don't think financially, I don't think that's going to really weigh Rodgers' decision all that much. I really don't. I think, dude, he's one of the all-time earningest players in NFL history at this point. He said last year multiple times towards the end of the season, he kept saying to the media, "Hey, I will take the biggest pay cut ever to stick around here with the Jets." And I really don't think financially that's what it's going to come down to. I think it's going to come down to situation, fit, what he's got around him.
But I mean, that's the thing, though, right? If you're looking at situation, what do you determine as a fit? Because situational, it should be Minnesota, Pittsburgh, a far, I don't want to say like a distant second, but definitely there's distance between the third option with the Giants, who are completely restarting. So, like, what do you want to be now in your career? Do you want control? Because I don't think you're going to get that with the Giants. I mean, you just had it at the Jets. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake.
I don't think anyone's going to give him control.
If you want to win now, why the hell would you want to go to the Giants? The only reason to go to the Giants is comfortability of the city that you're living in, being Montclair, New Jersey, right? And because that they're going to be valuing you a little more, where it's like, hey, I have made a shit ton of money, but this is my last chance to make some money. So either you got to go for greatness or you got to go for the money grab. I don't believe that he wants to be this great teacher of whomever the hell the next quarterback's going to be. Like, I don't think he gives a damn about that.
No, he has said multiple times last year with the Jets, he said he was willing to stay and mentor a young rookie quarterback. He said it a couple times on the record.
And I said that I wasn't going to break my diet multiple times, particularly after New Year's, and here we are. Still nothing has changed. I can say no matter what I want, but actions speak louder than words, my friend. And I just don't believe it. Like, he can tell me that he wants to be a mentor all day. Like, if you wanted to be a mentor so bad, why don't you mentor Jordan Love?
He did.
Stop it.
Dude, please Google Jordan Love talking about Aaron Rodgers right now.
Listen,
the love he has for that guy is crazy.
Listen, he could have stayed in Green Bay. He forced his way out of there, right? You can't tell me that he wants to just be a mentor. Yeah.
Aaron, no, it was totally justified for him to force his way out of Green Bay after what they've done to him over the last 15 years.
I'm with you, but don't tell me that he wants to be a damn mentor.
Mazz, he said it multiple times.
I just don't believe it. I don't believe
a
damn
guy
thing that guy has said. No,
Okay.
I don't believe him at his word value. I mean, he could tell me all that he was. You want to believe a guy at word value, for crying out loud? Look at what's going on in global politics right now. Everybody's bullshitting everywhere, so I don't believe anybody anywhere, my friend. You know, I think there's an alternative factor, and I think we've seen that time and time again. There's two things that matter, right? That is, one, going after championships, two, making the most money. Then there's secondary factors of location and where the hell I want to be, and is a franchise going to give me the control? I think the control is no longer there. I can see the the comfortability factoring in, but I think it definitely, he's going to tell me everything that I need to know about him, depending on where he goes and how much it was reported that was offered from these franchises.
And I think if he wants to be taken the most seriously, I think Pittsburgh would be that best situation, just because it feels like if he goes to the Giants, he'd be able to. When he went to the Jets, he kind of it turned into the Aaron Rodgers AAU team, right? There wasn't really like coaching didn't matter. It was just what Aaron Rodgers wanted. I feel like he goes to the Giants with the lame duck coach, lame duck GM. He'd be able to do that same kind of thing. Vikings, younger team, younger coaching staff. He'd probably be able to spread his tentacles there a little bit. Pittsburgh Steelers, that's Mike Tomlin's fucking football team, man. That is Mike Tomlin's football
But when
team.
has that stopped divas from running the clown house in the locker room?
Dude, Mike Tomlin kept Antonio Brown under wraps for most of his career. He can take care of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but then he's also enabling guys like Juju Smith-Schuster and Chase Claypool to do whatever the hell they want in the locker room, and then you have people
Okay,
posting out.
all right, okay.
The
Enabling them
most
to do
antics-
enabling them to do what? TikTok dances?
Yes, after losses, speaking out online.
Honestly,
George Pickens speaking out online in the press conference. Literally, the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room is a clown show every single season. Mike Tomlin has no control over those guys. They can say and do whatever the hell they want.
I think they're
don't know
allowed
about
to do whatever the hell they want because Mike Tomlin allows them to do whatever the hell they want. I'm with Charlie on
Exactly.
this one here. Like, but that's the thing, right? Like, if Mike's okay with it, like he's okay with it. I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm saying I firmly believe that Mike Tomlin is probably controlling everything that comes in and out of Pittsburgh at this point. You know, I mean, like, yes, he does have a winning season every year. We've seen guys fired for less, right, or even more performance, right, of just not reaching like the threshold. Like, he is Pittsburgh, and he's one of the best coaches of all time. Like, I could see how that would be enticing, but like I said, if I'm Rodgers and I care about cashing in right now, riding off into the sunset, Minnesota gives you that best chance. So take your pick, you know, but. You know, you do have
If
to
he's-
factor in that Steeler defense too, right?
If he's unserious, Giants. If he's serious, Steelers. If he doesn't give a shit, Vikings. That would be my take there.
Why Vikings? Because he doesn't give a shit.
Because I don't know, it would just feel like a joke that he's just following in the Brett Favre footsteps. I don't know. That's
But they legitimately have the best offensive capabilities out of all these teams.
Yeah, it's not even close, Charlie.
It's not even close.
Not even close.
I mean-
I like Pittsburgh. It's not even close.
yeah. I mean,
Tony
like in
Jefferson,
terms of
Addison, Aaron Jones, and
weapons and
Hockenson.
coaching, like yeah, but I don't know.
Because here's where I kind of get afraid of the Pittsburgh situation. It's looking eerily similar to the Jets. You have a solid defense. You got some offensive talent, but really not an offensive direction. There's not an offensive style. It's creating it from freaking scratch. Like, there's no leadership with there. And you have a coach that is revered by his players. Like, this is looking like Jets 2.0 if he goes to the Steelers. You know, where it's like,
Okay,
if you're serious, I think going to the Vikings is the only spot for you.
Well, I think
Where if
Pittsburgh's
you, like,
defense is definitely in decline right now. I don't know.
Do me a favor, please never mention Robert Sala's name in the same sentence as Mike Tomlin ever again. Please.
No, I'm just saying. Like, obviously he's a way better coach, but like, they're both defensive geniuses who are revered by their players. Like, dude, like you look at even the talent on offense. It's looking freaking eerie, dude. Like, I don't want anything to do with the Steelers because it's just gonna be the Jets 2.0, man.
I don't know about
God,
that.
you even have a questionable play caller right in there, right? Like, dude, I want nothing to do with that situation. I mean, Jesus, Aaron Rodgers is gonna go to Pittsburgh, and it's gonna be the end of Mike Tomlin. That's it. And
Oh,
I
no,
don't know,
if
that's
Aaron Rodgers goes to
done.
Pittsburgh, Arthur Smith is definitely not the OC.
How do you know?
Why?
Why? Nathaniel Hackett lasted in the building for the entire damn year, for crying out loud. Granted, he did have to lose his positioning, but like,
But you
they
really
should have
think
got rid of
they're gonna
Nathaniel
run
Hackett
Arthur
the year
Smith with
before.
Aaron Rodgers after the performance Arthur Smith put up last year?
I don't think. Listen, Matt Canada was there, right, for far too long. I think Arthur Smith isn't going anywhere right now. Not that he shouldn't. I just don't think that they're going to do it because they don't like shuffling things around in Pittsburgh like that. But it would definitely be a full deck shuffle if they bring in Aaron Rodgers. I guarantee.
I don't know.
If he goes to Pittsburgh, this is all about just like, hey, where am I going to quote unquote feel like the most valued? Like, and I felt like they were going to give me the biggest say out of everybody. I feel like. You know,
I don't
still
know.
gonna be Tomlin's team, but I don't know, man. It's definitely gonna be definitely going to be interesting to see when the wheel finally stops. Is he going to be in blue and red? Is he going to be in purple and gold? Or is he going to be in black and yellow? So we'll
Wherever
see.
he ends up, I'm gonna
Or
be
he just
rooting
rides
for him.
off. That's it. He's done. I don't know.
That's probably like I'd say there's like a very small percentage chance of that happening. I don't think he'd want to end his career on this note. I just don't. I think
You
he's
think he
got
wants
two.
to end on the Giants note?
If he thinks he can perform, yeah.
I guess.
The O-line's just in
No.
shambles there.
I think that's just like one of those moves where it's just like, I love this game. How can you not be romantic about football? And he just doesn't realize that maybe it's a toxic relationship and just hasn't walked away when maybe he kind of should have this year. Because last year, it was by no means the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. However, it wasn't good.
Wasn't
the
good
stats
enough.
the stats looked okay, but like if you watch those games, you know those stats didn't mean shit.
Yeah.
So I digress. Charlie, where do you want to take us, buddy?
Yeah, we spent way too much time talking about Aaron Rodgers. So
What
let's.
about Myles Garrett getting that extension.
Myles Garrett was adamant that he wanted out of Cleveland, right? Adamant. He said, it's not about the money. I want to win. I want to win a Super Bowl, and it's not going to happen here. Oh, wait, you guys want to give me $40 million a year? You're going to give me the biggest non-quarterback contract in NFL history? Okay, 3-14 doesn't sound so bad, right? That's what happened.
Well,
That is essentially how it went down.
There were reports the day before that the owner of the Browns didn't even want to like sit down with Myles Garrett. Like he canceled the meeting with him. So it makes me wonder, like, oh, he just canceled the meeting. He probably just slid him the contract and said, "Look at this," and then get back to me. And then immediately Myles Garrett became a Brown again. $40 million. Was 120 million or 140 million is the final total?
I think it's like a 4-year, $40 million a year, so that would make it 160 mil, wouldn't it?
4 years for 40 million?
Yeah, a year.
Yeah, and then I think it was guaranteed 125. Like that's
Crazy contract
for a DN, man. We're in a new age of football. We're starting to, like, especially with this offseason, we're overpaying players. I will say that. This is
all right. Well, time
we're
out.
overpaying players here.
Myles Garrett is gold jacket.
Sure.
Let's be real.
Sure.
Let's be real.
$40 million a year for an edge rusher.
Yeah. What
No.
probably a defensive player runner up every single year. Yeah, that
$40 million a
This
year.
is Reggie White in
this
the
is
year
where-
of 2025, dude.
this is where football's going, dude. The cap's going up year by year by year.
Somebody's got to spend that money, dude. I mean, like, I'd rather see a guy like Myles Garrett get that money than some has-been quarterback get a fat contract who's not going to do anything, right? I don't know who I'm talking about there. Take your pick. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've overpaid positions all the time. It just ends up that they're throwing the damn ball. I know Myles Garrett is going to have more impact than half the goddamn starters throwing the ball for the NFL. You know? So it's like, I'm glad that he got this money. I know some teams are pissed off. I know, if you're hoping that Michael Parsons is coming back, you're going to be pissed off. I know that the Bengals are going to be pissed off. I know that anybody that had to pay a defensive player that has star potential or star power is
Look at
definitely
Jeremy
pissed
Chin.
off. 'Cause now
Jeremy
it's just
Chin
got a
making
little harder.
$100 million now today came out. Like,
That-
I think Jeremy Chin.
I don't
is a
know.
good
No.
safety.
I don't know where you got those numbers from. He did not sign a $100 million deal today. He did not. He signed with the Raiders for like 2 years, $16 million.
Jeremy Chin.
Yes, promise you. 2 years, $16 million with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Hold on.
I saw something about like the Commanders giving him like buku bucks.
Mm-mm.
So there was definitely a false report on Bleacher Report when I was looking, because I like when Ant mentioned it, like I literally just saw that. So I don't know what happened to that. I don't know where the hell that report came from, but it definitely was good enough to go up on Bleacher Report. So somebody might want to step up their game over there.
actually,
How are you, boy? I got you.
Wait, it was a false report. Is that what happened?
I think,
Yeah.
and I swear to God, I saw it.
Yo, I saw
on
that
the-
contract, and I literally was like, Jeremy Chin got $100 million. I almost
Because you want to know how I know that like that definitely happened? Because I literally went, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
You don't know who Jeremy. I know who Jeremy Chin is, man. Come on.
Fucking $100 million. Who the fuck is he? Respectfully, don't get me wrong. The guy can outplay football, every day of the week in every century. He could be 60 and probably definitely outplay me in the athletic prime. That's probably never really happened, right? But like, come for $100 million, like, no, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know who the hell you are. Like, respectfully, like, I was like, who? What?
It was on the ESPN app. I got a notification for it, and I went, "That can't be real."
There was a false report. I know there was a false report out because I swear to God,
they
I was in
immediately
bed
took
and
it
I
down.
went,
I guess so they scrubbed it.
I don't know, dude, but apparently it made its way through the channels, right? But with Myles Garrett now, what does that mean for their draft? And because I think everybody thought that there was a chance that they go Abdul Carter if he ends up leaving, right? But now he's locked in. I don't think that they're going to be looking to go there. Is it Travis Hunter or are they going quarterback in your eyes?
This is who you asking about?
Cleveland.
Cleveland. So I think Deshaun, he's going to be on contract no matter what next year. They're saying they're going to trot him out again for 2025. Whether that be a good thing or a bad thing, I think it's a bad thing. They let Jameis walk. Honestly, I would draft Abdul Carter if I'm Cleveland. You put
After paying Myles Garrett, yeah.
Put Myles on one side, put Abdul Carter on the other side. Are you kidding me?
It's kind of embarrassment of riches there, huh?
That might be one of the best edge rushing duos we've ever seen. If it turns out to be that Abdul Carter turns out to be what he's said to be, and then you could wait till next year because let's face it, if Deshaun's running it back again next year, the team's gonna stink, and you still have Myles Garrett for 2 more years afterwards. Then I would make a play at a quarterback, whether that be through the draft or potentially free agent. I know next year's free agency class should be a little bit better than this one. I don't know who specifically is going to be on the free agency block, but I do believe there are going to be a few names being shuffled around. Maybe Matt Stafford, one last ride. Maybe give him a contract to come up and be the quarterback of the Browns for 1 more year. I don't know. Some things to consider.
Nah, you know who's the pick it too? It's Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, okay.
That's the pick it too.
I don't hate
Someone,
it. I don't hate it.
Either the Titans or the Giants will select Cam Ward first overall, and the Browns will select Shedeur Sanders second because they need a quarterback.
Do you think the Giants are going to trade up?
I think either the Giants trade up for Ward, even if they do get a Rodgers or a Russell Wilson, I think they still trade up regardless because it'll buy them it'll buy Joe Shane and Dable some more time in terms of we have to develop our guy. Or the Titans could take him because they need a quarterback too. And then I think the Browns say, hey, Watson's probably not ready for week 1. We just traded for Kenny Pickett. Give me Shedeur Sanders.
I'm just like thinking, you look at what the Atlanta Falcons did last year. Like they threw a fat stack at Kirk Cousins, but we're willing to bench him for Penix, right? So I think that's why Cleveland needs to be looking for a quarterback. Like, how many damn times are they gonna just sit there and just have woes at quarterback? Like, they're gonna have to continue the damn carousel, right? Like, you tried trading for, something big. Granted, there was a bunch of controversy around it, and it has been horrible the entire time, but, like, you've already tried that route. We've tried the drafting route. Like, they basically tried just about everything, and you still don't have the guy. And I don't care that you're paying him $50 million goddamn dollars. You cannot be sitting there with that kind of a defense, with a passionate fan base like the Browns, and keep on trotting out the same BS just because you decided, a year ago to make a horrible, 2 years ago to make a horrible move and bring him into it. Like, I didn't even hate the move at the first place if we were just talking from a talent standpoint of what he's done in the NFL prior. But granted, with the controversy and not playing for the time, like, he has not lived nowhere up to it. I think get the clean slate. You want Myles Garrett to feel like you're actually going in, and you want your stars to stop requesting trades, and you won't have to throw record-breaking money at them to keep them happy. Try something different, and let's start blazing a new trail so that they actually have somewhat of an imagination, like you're actually giving a shit about this franchise besides just throwing money at them to keep them, I'm calling it hush money, so it's just shut the hell up and play for me, please. So go out and get a Shedeur. If Cam Ward's there, go there. Trade back in the draft. I don't care. You need to bring a new quarterback into this damn room because guess what? When Jameis saw the field, there was life in Cleveland. So clearly the problem is the guy you've been paying $50 million. You're not getting out of that contract unless you want to eat it. So he's going to be on the books regardless. You might as well go get a cheap option and get a rookie deal to have some fun with. And if you can get that, if there's somebody there, like if you believe in Shador, you absolutely have to take it. If you do not believe in Shador or Cam Ward, like, they're saying that you should, you absolutely should be thinking about trading back, or 110% just grabbing a guy in the later rounds and just get a team-friendly deal. Because I'm telling you right now, I think the Cleveland Browns would play better if Ant was playing quarterback for them right now, just because the guys would be happy that there's somebody new throwing the goddamn ball.
They were happy with Jameis. Jameis was fun. He had a couple of good wins.
Sure. But can they afford Jameis?
I don't hate a single thing that you said. That's all pretty accurate.
I mean, Jameis is still kind of was linked with like the Giants, so like we'll see. Like I don't know. I don't know where Jameis is gonna end up, but I do know wherever the hell it's gonna be, that's gonna be a fun locker room, and guys are gonna be happy that he's there. You know who they're not happy to see? Deshaun Watson with the same sourpuss face week in and week out. And like, dude, even look at the fan base. The guy got injured and they booed him. That was one of the most unclassiest things I've ever seen in my life. That's how bad this situation has gotten in Cleveland.
DTR season, baby. It's Dorian Thompson-Robinson season up in Cleveland.
They traded him for Kenny Pickett today.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I saw that. I did see that. Kenny Pickett time, baby. Let's go. Here we go. Glove hand on. Ready to throw. Jersey zone. Let's get it. I'm ready.
New Jersey zone. Kenny Pickett.
Cleveland.
I like him.
That's South Jersey. I don't even claim it.
Speaking of New Jersey, speaking of quarterbacks, the most exciting free agent move of the day happened here in New Jersey. Justin Fields is a New York Jet, guys. Woo! Yeah!
8 and 9 has
QB1.
never felt so good.
Charlie, it legitimately can't get worse than last year, right?
No, it can't. And I'll be honest with you guys. This is like it's a buy low, low risk, high reward move for the Jets. You sign him to a 2-year contract. So in the off chance that he has a Sam Darnold-like season from last year, he's not just walking out the door. He's got an extra year tacked onto the back of the contract. I mean, guys, in this modern day NFL with the reclamation projects of Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, like I said, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields is the latest lottery ticket. He couldn't, who knows? But he's going to have a chance here with a fresh regime, a brand new offensive system where I think it's going to be tailored to his strengths. They're going to be running a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, running the football. I think he's going to have a chance here to establish himself as the starter, at least for a year or two. I don't think it takes the Jets out of drafting a quarterback in like the 2nd or 3rd round, or maybe even 7th overall if one of those guys slip. But I'm a huge fan of the move, and I think it placates not only the Jets fan base, because I don't think anyone would have been excited going into the season with Tyrod Taylor as QB1. No disrespect to Tyrod Taylor, because he's a serviceable NFL quarterback, but just doesn't really inspire excitement. But I think the other party that this placates is Garrett Wilson, his college teammate. They link back up together. Hopefully him and Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson can play some buddy ball this year, tossing the rock. But I'm excited about it, man.
How much do you think Garrett played into getting Justin Fields here to New York?
I'm sure he hopped on the phone and called him and was like, "Hey, pull up, man." I don't know. They probably spoke, I would imagine.
Yeah, because Garrett's been not happy with the situation in New York over the last couple of seasons. So I definitely think the Jets are trying to make him happy by bringing in Justin Fields. And also, like you said, it's a low-risk move. So I don't hate this for the Jets. I actually think it's actually not a bad move, Charlie. You actually really swayed my opinion with that argument. I liked it a lot. I think this is going to be something that the Jets look for. I still don't see them winning the AFC East. I still think Buffalo is going to win. That they could be vying for a wild card spot this year. They just got to be able to play a consistent brand of football for 1 through 17 weeks. And of course, like I mentioned in past podcasts, you guys got the best head coaching hire of the offseason with Aaron Glenn. I think he's going to be phenomenal for you guys. So, you know what? All things considered, the Jets could have they could be the Vikings of this year, right? For all we know, they could be the surprise team that goes 13-4 or 14-3 out of nowhere just because they made a few moves that nobody under the radar that nobody really thought about. I can see the Jets having a year like that.
Because they still got the talent. They needed better coaching last year. That's really what it kind of came down to.
I just really hope that this doesn't have like a New York Knicks Dennis Smith Jr. kind of storyline to this, where they passed up on him in the draft and then
That's
they
a
got
that's a
him
crazy
after
poll.
that they should have.
That's a
Like,
crazy
dude,
poll.
like that's what he kind of just ends up could potentially being. Like, maybe they should have. I said that they should have drafted Fields that year instead of going with your boy, who is probably going to prevent you from making that wild card spot, because Zach Wilson is going to make a splash down in Miami when Tua goes down. Hopefully he's healthy, but the injury history tells me that we
My
won't see
my pops
Zach
called
Wilson
it
at some point.
my pops called it Chad Pennington 2.0.
Oh,
Zach Wilson signing.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Fields, I genuinely think everybody's so infatuated with drafting a quarterback, and you have like these rare situations where you can have like a serviceable vet that can actually win you games while teaching like a new guy. You don't necessarily need to go to the draft to get that young talent in. Justin Fields is still very young. I think Pittsburgh absolutely fumbled not having him and Russ together. Like, that should have been like a two, maybe three, like stretched out relationship where, like, hey, the first 2 years it's all Russ, and then Justin come and take this, and right just like that we smooth transition into a quarterback. Clearly that's not happening, but the Jets needed somebody. Why not get some fresh lungs? He has dual threat capability. I don't think he's throwing for 4,000 yards this season. That's for damn sure. I do think that you guys will win more than 4 games, like last year. But I'm just wondering how much faith they actually have in him. Is he a placeholder, or are they going to be, seriously considering locking him up long term? I think obviously his play is going to tell a lot about that, but I think I got to give it to the Jets for just realizing, hey, this is where we're at. Finally, no longer is this, we're going all the way. We made a couple of moves, and this is it. This is, hey, shit, we came back crashing hard to reality from last year and the year before too, because we were still kind of in la la land because of the injury. But now it's like, damn, this is who we are. We have a solid team. It's still young. Let's take a shot on some young guys, and let's try to actually build from not even the ground up. There's a foundation there, right? We've even got past the first level. Like, the defense is basically set for me. New head coach, new GM, new era. You're coming in with a building that already, has some paint on it. You literally just have to put on some nice decoration. You got to make sure that everybody stays happy. And I think the Jets could actually become, dare I say, a decent franchise once again for the first time since the goddamn Mark Sanchez era.
The 1 year of Fitzpatrick, I don't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the Jets here, because obviously we do enough of that as it is. But the last thing I wanted to note was Javon Kinlaw, who was on the Jets last year, today signed a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Commanders, $30 million guaranteed. The Jets got him in August last year for $6 million. This guy was good for nothing else other than a unnecessary roughness penalty every damn week. What did he do? I watched every single Jet game this year. I don't know what the hell this guy did to deserve $45 million. He's not even healthy 100%. He was missing games. I don't understand what kind of crack they're smoking in Washington to make this signing, but it made zero sense to me.
Charlie,
He was literally.
Sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead. I'm so dumbfounded by this move.
But it
I'm
was the
sorry.
same thing that me and you were saying earlier when the Jets signed Brandon Stevens to that 3-year, $36 million contract. I'm a Ravens fan. I watched every Ravens game. Brandon Stevens was statistically one of the worst cornerbacks in football last year. Had some of the most. I think he was like top 5 in pass interference penalties. I think he was number 3 or 4 in QBR against in the league, and he got a $36 million contract. I don't know why, but I think the Jets are trying to move him to safety. But that's another contract where I'm just like, we're just giving out these contracts just willy-nilly just because of what a guy did a year or two ago, not for what they just did. I don't know.
Sometimes
Yeah, and the thing that confused me the most, I'm sorry, real quick, Mazz, just because we came back to this. So DJ Reed, we mentioned, he went to Detroit on a 3-year, $48 million contract. So for an extra $4 million a year, you could have just kept DJ Reed at that rate. But instead, you drop it down and you get Brandon Stevens, who, and like you're saying, maybe he's switching over to safety, but obviously a lower tier corner in the NFL. That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
well, there might not have been any number to keep DJ Reed in the building. You have no clue, right?
That's
Like,
true.
especially with
That's
how
very,
things
very
have
true.
gone. Like he might just be like, "Oh, I could go to Detroit. Like, everybody's
Yeah,
having fun
yeah.
up there. Like they literally need secondary help. Like I can literally go have a instant impact on a team that doesn't all but hate each other right now. Like so I don't know that. I'm not speaking for him, but I'm saying like I'm just theorizing. Like I don't know if there was capabilities of even keeping him. But going back with Kinlaw, if there's one person that I'm never going to doubt with just evaluating defensive talent, Stan Quinn. He's gotten the most out of guys, especially for the Cowboys, where I was just like, who the hell was this guy? Oh, shit, he's actually a serviceable starter. And then once he leaves, he's just like taking these guys with him, where it's just like, hey, I know how to use them. So clearly he saw something on that film. Maybe he just wanted an enforcer, Charlie. Maybe he said, I love those roughing the passer penalties. I want quarterbacks to be feared every time that he comes there. Because now they're thinking, am I going to take a hit after this ball's already out? And now they have second thoughts as they're thrown. I have no clue. But what I do know is that Dan Quinn is doing wonders down for the Commanders. I do know that he knows defensive talent just as good as anybody else in the goddamn league. And I know that things are looking bright in Washington, and I hate it. However, he's doing a good job. So I don't know what he sees, but there's a reason why I don't see it, because he just understands the game better than we do. So we'll see how it pans out.
And speaking of Washington, which I don't know about you guys, but I think we were heading into the end of our episode here, but they made a pretty big splash today, not in terms of free agency signing, because they were bringing back a lot of their own guys, Ertz and Bobby Wagner, obviously, but they have a new left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. The Houston Texans traded a second and a third for, obviously, to move off of Tunsil. Oh, I'm sorry. I said that so out of whack. The Texans got a second and a third round pick, and the Commanders got Laramie Tunsil and a fourth round pick. Now, this one was a little bit of a head scratcher at first because Laramie Tunsil, he's been one of the best left tackles in football for a couple years now. And obviously the Commanders need some offensive line help because they want to keep Jaden Daniels upright. They want to make sure he's not getting hit. But if you're the Texans, yeah, your offensive line was like meh last year. So like, yeah, why not trade the most expensive piece on your offensive line on a meh offensive line, get some assets back? Because in a few years, you got to pay CJ Stroud. You got to pay Tank Dell if he comes back healthy. You got to pay Derek Stingley Jr., pay Will Anderson. So it makes sense to me, even though the Texans should still be trying to contend and win. It makes sense why they would move off him now before he gets a massive contract extension from more likely than not, he's going to get it from the Commanders.
I'm completely with you. I mean, like Charlie, it's not like nobody looked at the Texans line and were like, "Oh wow, that's Fort Knox over there." Like,
Yeah, right.
No, like I'm not looking to keep anything that wasn't great, especially when I have great pieces that I can protect and probably get similar, production out of a guy that I could hit on in the draft or maybe even, sign a vet, whatever. Like, it's not everybody is going to be Zach Martin for a team where they're just there for years and getting these, great contracts with it. Like, sometimes you have to be a little frugal and think about it. Hey, where are we really at? Is this guy worth, even though he's been solid for us, is he worth more than the assets that they're willing to give up? And I think for the compensation that they got, I'm going to go ahead and say that both of these teams are going to end up winning this.
Yeah, I think Laramie Tunsil. If we're going off left tackles, I think Trent Williams is in a class of his own, and I think Laramie Tunsil's right there at number 2. He's a very, very good tackle. He's been there for a very long time. So if you're Washington, you're trying to protect your new franchise quarterback in Jane Daniels. You're trying to protect your running game. Brian Robinson was good last year. You have Austin Eckler as well. I wonder if they do try to go younger and running back in the draft. They have some pieces to work with on that offense, and they need some upfront protection. And when you get one of the best tackles in the league, I think it's a good deal because now you're protecting your young stud in Jaden Daniels. On the other hand, I think if you're Houston, unloading a little bit of that salary that Laramie was bringing on the books, because let's face it, they have a lot of holes they need to fill. I mean, granted, still offensive line is definitely going to be a big hole now that Tunsil's gone. So they may go to left tackle in the draft this year, first round, and get a little younger at that position. But yeah, they still need to go after some safety help. They still need to go after some interior D linemen. They need an inside linebacker. There's some things that Houston really needs to do. So getting a little bit of draft capital for one position to beef up a couple other position groups, it's always a good move if you're a team that's got a lot of assets and you're paying a lot of guys. Let's unload one of those guys, get a few younger guys, and try to refresh our team in other aspects. For Houston, it's a good idea on paper. Let's see if it works out.
Yeah, fellas, And I think you made a solid point. And Charlie, I think we're all in agreement here. And I just have to hit you with one name. That's Tristan Wirfs for the second best tackle, in my opinion. But,
Ooh, I don't know. I got Laramie.
Did I say that?
I
Did
got
say
Laramie
it?
over Tristan Wirfs.
I'm just a Bucks guy, dude. I'm a de facto Bucks fan. I'm still riding the wave. I hope Baker them reload because I know the Cowboys are just gonna break my goddamn heart again. So we'll see what happens. But fellas,
Or Lane
free
Johnson
agency.
too. Don't forget about Lane Johnson.
Is he retiring?
He's-
Or is he?
Lane Johnson, he's a right tackle. I mean, are you putting him in the same? Like-
That's true.
Yeah.
Eh.
Is he coming back again? Like,
Or Mailata. Mailata's
He-
left tackle.
He's really good. He's really
Penei
good.
Sewell.
Penei Sewell. Ooh,
Right
that's
tackle.
Right tackle.
We're just talking tackles, right?
Yeah,
If
sure.
we're talking left, I like my man worse. Just saying.
What about Trent?
Anyway, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, dude, he's number one.
Trent is the GOAT, man.
He's number one. He's in. You just said he's in a class of his own. But for number two, I think Tunsil 3 for me. But regardless, I love when we're debating offensive linemen, but that also tells us that we have run out of time here, fellas. You know, so listen, fellas. Hopefully we can continue, guys. As somebody who actually played on a high school football team at starting on the offensive line,
Terrible
horrible
form.
I'd bull
Bull
rush
for
you.
I knew it.
Don't even go there.
Yeah, dude, are you kidding me? I got a huddle tape out there somewhere. All right, like,
I got a huddle tape
would've
out
been
there
good
too.
enough for D.
You would've
Would've been good enough for D.
When I was crack
Your huddle
blocking.
tape.
When I was
Your
crack
huddle tape
blocking.
couldn't even get you on the
I would've lowered
varsity
a shoulder
roster.
into
My
you.
bar,
You
my
little
team, my
ding
huddle
dong of
tape
a
coulda
thing. I
got
would
me
have lowered a
D3,
shoulder
all
into
right?
you like that.
Yeah,
You would have gone
wish.
flying,
Anyway,
boy.
yeah,
I would have
it-
bull
this
rushed. I
is
would
it.
have sack, boom, 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 right into you.
This is
like
what
that.
this is what creatine does to you. False bravado.
I don't do
Listen,
creatine.
keep hitting the gym, buddy.
I don't do
I
creatine.
love it. You're doing something at that gym because obviously this new confidence has just made you absolutely insane. But listen, that's all the time that we got for it right now. We'll be back next week for me and Ant to bust each other's balls. Charlie giving you some Jets talk as always, and you already know what it is. The band back together. Another episode of the books. Please go like, subscribe, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your content. TikTok, we're there. Follow, let the people know, and we'll see you next time.
Let's go Knicks in Sacramento tonight. Let's go.
You have been listening to the Mazz and Bad Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.